Right, hello, I'll be on for at least 40 minutes, maybe an hour. It's really, really stormy today and hot and horrible as usual. My room is 28 centigrade with the air conditioning on. Other rooms in the house are like 35 to 40. So, too bloody hot. My Terrifier t-shirt did arrive though today, which I really like. I'm only not wearing it today because I'm wearing a strict arm t-shirt. But, yeah, if you've not seen Terrifier, that's a good horror film. So, hello everybody. So no real subject today. If people want to talk about creepy things, they can talk about creepy things. I bought another really bright UVB light just because, I suppose it's sort of good for your skin, maybe. Kills corona at least. So yeah, if people want to talk about spooky stuff, they can talk about spooky stuff. If people want to talk about gas mask. Toasty, have you seen the prequel to it? Well, the original film the director did, All Hallows Eve. All right, sick dog, I'm all right, thank you. Yeah, I was saying about that, Ian. I was watching some old Cold War training films on radiation, and I was thinking, oh, those poor bastards, if this was real, who are going like, oh, it's only 4 Rontgen. Yeah. I mean, I know 4 Rontgen isn't a really scary number when it comes to radiation, but, where they're casually just saying, oh, we're lucky it's only 4 Rontgen from this bomb. You think, bloody hell, you do not want to be out in 4 Rontgen per hour levels of exposure. But hello to everybody. And really nice work on the sheath for that as well, Mike. I've not watched the video where you've done the sheath yet, although I saw you've done it. But yeah, so for the people saying what was a Terrifier t-shirt, it was this. Yeah, Protect and Survive's a bit more realistic, though. All right, Hype. All right, Henry. But yeah, so if you've not seen Terrifier, that is actually quite a good stream. Not stream, film. Yeah, good film. I mean, it's certainly not got amazing acting other than the clown. And what was I going to say? The plot's pretty much not there. It's about a clown who does horrible things because he thinks it's funny, but it's not funny. Extra, can you just put it in a little plastic bag or something? You can probably just peel it off the side and then just put it in a plastic bag. Yeah, if you've not seen All Hallows Eve, that's quite worth watching because it was the director's previous film. It's like an anthology one. And there's Art the Clown is in it, a few different bits, but yeah, I'll wear it properly tomorrow, Mike. I was wearing the strict tarn one today because I got that the other day. But yeah, I'll definitely wear this soon. But yeah, it's quite an interesting t-shirt design, isn't it? I mean, I know it's just like a still from the movie, but still. Oh, and for the people wondering, that's the new bulbs box. Because I couldn't find where I put my other UV bulbs, and this one's a bit brighter. It's actually made by the same people that do the reptile ones, except this one's actually brighter. Yeah, it's the one that's meant to, replicate sunlight. It's a very good actor, though, in that Hype at doing, like, creepy mime stuff. Depends how they fell out, Coco Stewart. If they've ripped out, you probably have to replace the entire mask. If they've just fallen out, can you reattach them how they fell out? Yeah. Well, I put the spectrum on there at least. Hard to think off the top of my head, Ash. But yeah, so if people want to talk about creepy stuff, they can talk about creepy stuff. If they want to talk about gas masks, talk about that. Although I'd rather it not be the same gas mask questions over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, as usual. I would not go to school then, Radioactive Cow, if they're putting a stupid policy like that in place. That's interesting, Stefan. Is that as in, like, less than 1 millirontgen? Because if so, that's not too high. But if you mean it as in, like, 450 millirontgen, then that is very scarily high. Ask Coolbots. You should be able to link it to your channel once it's done. This certainly isn't an LED bulb, as you can see. It's, you know, like a tube fluorescent one. GP7 maybe, Doska? I don't really know. But... so yeah, it would be half a millirontgen then. That's not that scary in all honesty, because background's like 0.1 to 0.2 millirontgen, I think. So the reading you're getting is about twice background. If it pegged on the lowest, that would make it over 0.5 millirontgen. You can see one of them in the background, but I've got French riot armor, a Russian riot helmet, and two of the old British style riot helmets. It's sad, Alex Saint, because to me those are definitely not my best videos, but you know. I'll wait for some actual questions to come on, I think. Well, Cassandra, they should actually just react properly, you know, because the law says now you have to wear them. I've never had a problem, though, wearing masks out in public. Like, to start with, you'd have a couple of people, you know, oh, it's silly, you shouldn't be wearing a mask. But because it's compulsory here now, you don't really run into any issues. Yeah, I've not done much today, though, Alex Saint, because it's just been too hot and horrible to do anything. You know, so today has been a day of sitting about doing stuff on the PC, really. If it's in the very corner of your room, Marcus, yes. How big is the room? Because DP63s throw their gamma rays quite a distance. But yeah, if it's in the very corner of your room, I think it should be fine. What I would actually do, though, is I'd put it inside an airtight container inside its box. That way you won't get any radon escaping, just to be safe. Where I am, 35 to 40 Celsius. Although we're definitely not on the subject of the stream today, are we? Because nobody's really said about ghosts yet, or clowns, or whatever. Yeah, my brightest UVA thing is an LED thing. It's like a strip of really bright UV LEDs. But yeah, for UVC and UVB, it seems the fluorescent tube types are the more bright ones, as you can see with what it's doing to that camera there. It like really does white out the webcam. That's actually quite a bright one, this one. If I turn that off, you can see actually how bright for a UV B bulb that one is. Deactivated guns don't fall under the VCR. And when we say VCR, I'm not on about, you know, the VHS machine. VCR is Violent Crime Reduction Act in the UK, and deactivated guns don't fall under it because our laws are weird. Yeah, I do know that hype, but yeah, I've never had issues when I've used them before. And obviously, where it's too hot to be outside properly, I'm just using one at the moment, so I get some UV rays while sitting inside. I'm trying to think, Mike. I'm sure I've watched some horror films recently, other than like watching Terrifier again. But what have I watched? I don't actually know. I watched Elysium the other day, and that was very good. They won't, COVID. Yeah, I'm sure I must have watched more horror films. I'm just trying to think if I've watched anything that was actually good, rather than, you know, just stuff that's like, ooh, a monster jumps out. I wonder if this UVB light gives any reading whatsoever on this. Let's have a look. Although they do actually have the shielding on that tube on this model, unlike some of these. It's higher than background on there. You probably can't see that here, but it's just going about 100 CPM. Let me see if I can get that. It's gone down a bit now. So yeah, the UV light on here does register on it slightly, but not as much as you know, not as much as an actual radioactive source would, but yeah, FM12s, Ethan, are more compact, so they do sit better to the face. Yeah, I never watched the Hill House TV series because it doesn't really have anything to do with the old movie, does it? So it kind of feels like that horrible remake territory for me. Because, you know, The Haunting of Hill House is like one of those black and white horror classics. They should have just given it a different name. What's the cult chord? The Zone is better. No, Stefan. The only one I know you're on about is sort of like, is it Outbreak or Contagion? It's called, that's a bit like that. Oh, that is interesting, like. The thing I like about UV light, though, is it just makes you feel good because it releases endorphins. And there's actually been lab studies done where they've like exposed mice to UV light and then stopped exposing them, and they get opioid withdrawal symptoms. There are zombie movies based in World War One. The good one's Trench 11 or whatever it's called. I have never had a problem using silicone lubricant on any masks. Otherwise, I wouldn't recommend people use it. Alright, we've got our first block of the stream. Goodbye. Sorry, Ethan, you're really going to struggle to find them because CT12s are the rare ones in comparison to the amounts built. So you just have to luck into finding one, really. I was just lucky when I got my CT12 that the seller wanted like 30 quid for it. Sounds to me, Marcus, like it was a broken mask. There are sadly some movies that are so bad that they literally try to be bad, so people think they're so bad they're good, but they're just bad. Yeah, that's just called buying masks before Corona, though. You know. That's very good for an actual USM 17, isn't it? I wait for actual questions to come in again. That's been a few of the problems recently on streams. There's not really people asking me questions. They're just sort of talking amongst themselves. No, not all panoramic masks are iron warp what you see. It depends how well the lens has been done. Oh, that's cool. Hype, I'll test that, but I won't screw them on hard in case it damages the threads if it turns out they're ghost ones. Ask the person above you in the chat, Jensen, about where to get them. But yeah, they are cool masks. You do get a slight bit of distortion with the lenses on these, but it's not too bad. I've got one or two Gerbers, Cherno Inferno, but where my Gerber knives are, I have no idea. Probably in a drawer somewhere. If you search Gerber on my channel, you will see the videos I've done on different Gerbers before. That's pretty cool, actually. No, but if it's a repeat Yorkshire Tom, I've probably seen it before. Yeah, that is creepy, isn't it, Ian, in films when there's like a face or eyes suddenly at a window in the dark. All right, see ya, Hype. Have a good evening. At the moment, not much other than watching films because it's just too hot and horrible to do anything at the moment. Just because at the moment, yeah, where it's like 35 to 40 Celsius every day with 70% plus humidity, I've not really been doing much at all. Today I spent like till I think it was 2 p.m. sleeping, just because it's hard to sleep properly at night because it's so hot. So when I eventually got to sleep, I didn't want to get up early. I've done that before in a video, Ethan, if you look it up. where I've literally did have all three next to each other to show the differences. Oh, that's interesting, Ian. I'm afraid I don't know much about old like boxes and trunks and things at all, but they are cool, aren't they? Some of the old storage chests. As I've said before, Briggs, at the moment it's really hard to recommend masks at certain price points because how quickly everything is selling out. My mum this morning tried to get me to buy some gloves for her that had just come in stock with Screwfix, and by the time we got to the checkout page, all of them had been bought because that's the kind of shortage on protective equipment at the moment. Yeah, I am. This is the shirt I'll be wearing tomorrow. It came today. Sadly, I'm not near a beach at all, and if you do that here, you won't be away from other people because all the covidiots have gone to the coast. S10s are fine. Why don't you go and watch the actual film it's from then, Jensen? But yeah, the problem is at the moment in the UK, I think like a lot of places, basically lots of stock that gets, lots of places that sell PPE just sell out the instant they get it in, that don't overcharge for it. Because, if they put on their listing at a certain time of day, all the stuff they've got on there, within like 5 minutes of the listings going up, people have bought all of them either to resell or, just because they need it. All right. Stay safe, Castia. Hopefully it cools down a bit where you are if it's really hot. I was hoping the thunder and like storms would have gone on longer today because they were cooling it down for a bit, but it's just gone back to being still again. Oh, Baldefine, isn't that, Richard? That's the name, isn't it? Baldefine, something like that. Yes, there is one there. I've already answered this a lot of times, Coco. If you want one that's properly GOSed, get maybe an AVEC GOS filter. But again, lots of these aren't sold in Europe. So, Western Europe. Rural places, Jensen, not the urban places. I have no idea, Ian. You'd have to ask somebody who was specifically into hats and hat brands, I guess. Sadly, Richard, I think that might happen eventually. Are you going to be on Twitch tonight, Mike, or is it too hot? I did see you saying that you wouldn't be playing in your pants. If you mean literally the ones, Chris, that are like felty fabric stuff, they're useless. Well, I would never say get a Myra mask full stop, Orion, because Myra don't make masks. They just resell other people's masks at a markup. I've never used the free Empro mask, so I can't tell you. But don't buy anything with Myra's name on it. Suppose you could just do it without the webcam, couldn't you? Or is that too... Yes, it is a Geiger counter ticking, as we've already said. I have to think of what film to watch tonight then, but I really don't know. Yeah, I hate hot weather, LX8, well, especially hot weather like this, very humid, no air movement. I just like standard tea, Ian explains. You know, the one that they just call like red tea or black tea, which is literally just tea. Wow, that's a classy company, isn't it, Box? No, because there's always background radiation. You will never have a Geiger counter not tick unless it's broken. There's a thing called cosmic rays, and they're irradiating you right now. But the point is, they're always at a certain level. Yeah, I'm sure there's some way you could probably think of doing it, Mike, but it'll have to be on something like Amazon Prime LX8, because I'm not going to buy it at the moment, you know. Finnish masks don't melt, Chris. Synth Frost, probably people talking about their dodgy business practices, I imagine. You know, just reselling other people's products, claiming they're your own. Not properly LIO, no, because it's a GOST mask, not a NATO mask. No, the one you're thinking about, Chris, is the Yugoslavian M1. But yeah, the Finnish one's never had any problems, and as far as I'm aware, it was either the Norwegian or Swedish, wasn't it, that the M51, which is also an M9, they never had any issues. It's a Yugo M1, basically, or MC1, where you get the issues. Apparently the Yugo will serve M2 to an extent as well. Yeah, it didn't last spooky for very long, did it, Henry? Even with the aircon on now, I'm getting a bit too hot, in all honesty, to do a stream. I can see why Mike wouldn't want to do one at the moment. Just because it's that issue of, you know, you get really hot and sort of tired feeling without doing much. Yes, Chris from HR. They were originally for different purposes. Like, I think the tinted ones were meant to work against flashbangs. The mirrored ones were meant to look intimidating, apparently. The coloured ones, I think, were for laser designation. But bear in mind now, a lot of the lenses you see for masks are 3D printed ones, not proper ones. So with that, I don't really know, you know, because they're not official things. But at least when it came to the original light sets, they were generally like, kind of just like having sunglass lenses on the mask. Now, I'll look in my area and see if we're expected any more rain, but annoyingly, we had a bit for like an hour earlier or 2 hours earlier, then it stopped again. But sadly, so far it's saying like no rain today, maybe some rain tomorrow, some rain Friday, hopefully. It doesn't, unfortunately, LX, if you're in a humid place, that will make it worse, because you want water to evaporate, not add more water. Yeah, I'm just looking at my weather forecast now, but from 6 p.m. tomorrow it might rain, from Friday it might rain, but yeah, it's not looking very promising for cooling down. What about itching powder, Dwarven Miner? I'm sure if you've just got a skin irritation to something. NPC gear, what's that, Chris? Is that where you just go, Orange Man bad? Is that NPC gear? If you mean NPC gear, then no, under current restrictions and everything, it's like the opposite. You're being encouraged to wear protective clothing, not wear it. In the UK, you can be fined if you go in places without a mask on, not for wearing a mask. He's been saying weird things for a while now, so we'll just get rid of him. No, Peter, because they're more powerful than earthbound radioactive substances. You cannot have a Geiger that doesn't tick on background radiation. It's impossible. If a Geiger doesn't tick, it doesn't work. Every single one of my Geigers, you cannot take them anywhere on Earth where they wouldn't tick. That's science. That's basic physics. There's always background radiation. Always. You can't escape it. Where's that then? The zone is better. Whereabouts does this lady in white walk down the road? Yeah, it doesn't make sense in some shops. Yorkshire, I think on the legislation, employees don't have to wear them, but customers do. But that's pointless. Everybody needs to wear them. Right, I'll probably finish the stream soon because it seems like we're getting a few trolls on. So I'm just going to hand out blocks again to anybody making weird comments just because I'm not in the mood for it as always. But yeah, I'm kind of tempted this week maybe not to do any more streams in all honesty. And I don't mean just for the sake of the trolls. I just mean most of this week I've not been getting many real questions coming in. You know, it's all been argue with you about, you know, stuff. Oh, so it's California. That's at least interesting. I was wondering if it was like a really, really like rural, you know, place, but yeah, Mike, it's just been more recently every time I've streamed, you end up getting more and more of the people who don't really want to talk about anything, but they just want to keep nitpicking what you say or whatever. I've got one being posted to me, LX Saint, at the moment, which is a Radioscan 701A. The Radioscan is meant to be very, very good, but it's a bit expensive for most people. The two I use the most are the GMC 500 and a Therapy. I don't think I've had any more, Ian, since like all the ones I've told before. I'm glad you like the videos, Daniel, at least, but you know. So, you know, one thing of these streams, though, is just more of the fact that, you know, it's quite nice to answer people's questions, but then a lot of the time on these streams, it turns into people making, like, weird comments all the time and not stopping. That would be illegal in the UK, Chris, so I'm not going to recommend you anything like that at all. That's interesting, Cassandra. Anything, like, really cool? Because I was saying, there's a lot of local ghost stories where I am, but most of them I don't think have any validity, you know, whatever the word is, validity to them, whatsoever. And that's coming from somebody who actually believes like stuff like that can happen. But if you instead of meaning ballistic pen, if you meant a tactical pen, that's different. In terms of like tactical pens, the ones I really like, you can't get anymore. Thank you, Marcus. There's not going to be many, I'm afraid. In the UK, you can get MD3s, but they're doomsday levels of radiation. Otherwise, you're going to have to pay to get a Victorine 450 or whatever from the States, and that's going to be like well over $100 to do that. For most people, Synfrost just get the standard Therapy, not the Therapy Plus. Not really, Ian explains. I've got a load of old lighters, but again, they're not really military, are they? Which one's the BR6? Let me look it up. BR6. Is it a Geiger counter? Oh, the little one. Yes. If you want to do it with an external, doing an external alpha probe, I don't know, but you can just run it in parallel. Yeah. If you run the positive Geiger-Müller tube connector with a croc clip, and you run the negative of a croc clip, and then attach it to a different probe. As long as it's close to 400 odd volts, the BR runs on, that will be all right. But I don't think you'll get an alpha probe that runs off that, because most alpha mica probes need like about 1 kilovolt of electricity. I didn't say you said that at all, Daniel, about a lot of the stuff that I've been getting recently. That's pretty cool. Radionuclide. Which one are you looking at? There's a couple in the background. Well, Golden Globe. It was meant to be a spooky stream, but that got derailed pretty quickly. That's good, Patrick Destroyer. But yeah, the those Wilson sort of masks are good, aren't they? You'd have to ask the people who actually own them, Chris. I don't. I think there's weird rules here on like how they vent or something, but I've never got into them. Favorite ghost story? My favorite real one is the one about the bloke who was working in that basement, and then he saw the Roman soldiers marching on their knees, and nobody believed him until later on the floor was excavated, and they found like a few inches under where he was, there was actually an old Roman road. So they were marching actually like the ghosts where the road was, but obviously the floor made it look like they were marching on their knees. But that's a cool one, because it's like one of those ones that was later almost, validated by somebody who would not have known that. But, most of the ones were just like, oh, if you go to this road at a certain time, there is a ghost. I don't really have much time for them. They're interesting, I guess, on their own right, but there's no real way of proving them, is it? Oh, do you want to see a spirit? Ooh. There's some spirit, look. Ooh. That's interesting, Patrick. So more like some sort of energy in it. Because there's lots of stuff, isn't there, to do with like poltergeists and all that might have some. No, Elio, I am not. I'm trying to think if there's any other like ghost stories I've heard that have been the interesting ones that were like later verified in a way. I would not want a rocking chair in my house just in case you randomly walk in and see it doing that, you know. I suppose you don't have to have the chair there, do you, if the sounds are still there? But I certainly wouldn't want a rocking chair just because I bet you'd go in there and it'd be going on its own. You'd be like, nope. Were you even listening, Keaton, to what I said earlier? I said it when you were on. M56 is cooler, but the M59 is more compact, but I prefer the M56 just because, you know, funny bell shape. But if you weren't listening, Keaton, I'm getting one sent to me for free. So there's your answer to that. Cool. Did the eyes actually follow you, or was it just one where it looks like they were following you? I certainly don't in mine, Alex Saint, because my one is just filled with junk, and it's too hot up there. So I don't in mine, but I could imagine in some houses you definitely would, or, you know, like in a basement. But most UK houses don't have basements, and most lofts are like the boring, you know, empty insulated type in our house. The Soviet SSH-40 Briggs is the most common Soviet World War II helmet in terms of like numbers built, but the Soviets had a few helmets during World War II. Yeah, it sounds completely stupid, Commander Mike. So again, companies doing the opposite of what they're meant to be doing. Because, everybody should wear a mask, but no, we're banning you from wearing a mask in our store or like our plane or whatever. Somebody, I guess, Chris, they could put googly eyes, couldn't they? Little goggly eyes on one of those, and then you would have eyes that follow you. I'd listen to your dad then, Mystic Gamer. Yeah, I'll head off in a minute then if nobody's asking me anything at a sort of decent rate. Oh yeah, and as Patrick says, an actual proper respirator is way more comfortable and more effective than a bit of cloth tied around your face. But, you know, good luck trying to teach regular people that. Ian Explains says, one scary story I heard is this. A girl and a boy are driving along in the forest one night. The boy says that he has to go take a pee. See my next comment. Yeah, I suppose cold showers at the moment, Daniel, might be a good way of staying cold at least. Yeah, that sounds interesting, no bots at least. I'm still waiting for the follow-up on that ghost story bit. Unless see my next comment is how the ghost story ends. There's not another comment. If you made it, YouTube hid it. I don't believe that radioactive cow, because in that logic, people in freezing conditions couldn't freeze to death. I've heard that before, Keaton. I think that would be true to an extent if it's a really poor bandana. I think if you had a bandana and you wrapped it several times, that wouldn't happen. But I can understand it if it kind of just sprays it out more rather than... Your comment isn't there, though, Ian explains. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's not there because YouTube's hidden it. I can't see it. So you're going to have to reword it and post it. For a joke, I'm tempted to do a video using like a full panoramic style mask with like a surgical, face thing over it. So now it's compliant. I reckon I could have done Dog Emperor or Doge Emperor, but I've done a video, so you might want to watch like a 20-minute video explaining all the weird shit that happened. So it makes you feel like you're warm, but you're not actually warm, are you? All right, I don't know how many times they have to warn people not to talk about politics, but they keep bringing it up. What with the Greek text on it? Yeah, that definitely is not going to work, Keaton. I mean, if that logic works, you could wear a tight over your head, couldn't you, like an old-fashioned bank robber? I do. But what was the thing about CO2 buildup? Oh, what, wearing a mask? That's a good idea, Chris. I need to do that. Has it fallen on the floor down here? Yes, it has. Right. Right, I can see about the thing tapping of the feet, Ian, but I haven't seen anything else. Oh no, 98% blood oxygen. Yes, Ian, it is. Right, so you want to see how much a respirator restricts your blood oxygen, do you? Let's find out. That's got a filter on it. This has got a chunky filter on it, so that'll do. Oh no, it's still 98. Oh no. Right. There's not a CO2 build-up then. Still works. But yeah, that was a good point, Chris. Thanks for bringing that up. But yeah. So it turns out that, wow, in fact, masks do not make CO2 build-up in your blood. Unlike weird people in the media that say they do. Right, I can see when she looks back, she sees her boyfriend hanging from a tree. It's always too high, Thomas. Getting it under 100 is good for me, but a lot of the time it's like 120, 130 when I'm sitting down. But yeah, my heart rate is always too high. But it's never worried doctors or anything whenever they've looked at it. They just always go, oh, it's a bit high. Right, I'll do that as a proper video though at some point, Chris, because it is a good point. And I can also do it with like the paper masks as well to test those. Do you know what? I think the Avon Escape Hood might make a CO2 build-up in my body. I wonder why. Anyway, thanks to the people who have been acting properly this stream. I would say the later bit of the stream redeemed it a bit from people asking real questions. Ian being unable to do his ghost story that you so desperately wanted to put in, but YouTube kept hiding it. And the idea of, Mars suffocating you, but they don't through. Oh, some of his videos, Dry Burns, he's done recently have been very informative again. But yeah, definitely watch Dr. John's videos. He made a joke about people falling out of windows earlier. And when I say a joke about people falling out of windows, I mean people being killed by, secret services, which I thought was a very subtle joke from him. Escape life hood, you mean? What are you using it against, Chris? If it's just a particle filter and you're using it out and about, months, years, unless you're in somewhere where there's really, really bad air pollution. If you're wearing a vapor filter, probably like a day to 2 days under normal conditions. So a mask within a mask within a mask, Mystic Gamer. But yeah, it's a bit like the thing I've heard where people are like, oh, it's really, really hard to breathe with a mask on. So I did a video ages ago with like a gas mask on, doing a bit of weightlifting. Like nothing really serious, but just to prove it isn't an issue. And I was saying, like, yeah, if you're doing lots and lots of exercise, it is obviously harder with a mask on than not a mask on. But most regular people, even if, you're asthmatic like I am, are not going to struggle with a mask on. No, that's not true. That was like a fake weight in the video. But yeah, anyway, so see you all. Thanks everybody that was being more sensible near the end of the stream. I think it did, Ian. I think you should give up with your ghost story because I think YouTube finds it too scary. All right, but yeah, see you all, everybody. Goodbye. Have a good evening.